Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Hello, 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 and this is the Shawn Stewart podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Stewart, and this is the second episode of the Shawn Stewart Sports Report. By the way, originally I was supposed to do it last week, but unfortunately I tried to do a clip of it, but unfortunately I had some issues with it on StreamYard. So glad to have you on this episode 2 of the Shawn Stewart Sports Report. It's been since a couple of months that I've actually done a pre-record interview. So got a lot of stuff to talk about, okay? And I do have a guest. So for the topics we're going to do is recap of week 2 of college football, of course, the upsets. But we're going to talk about Nico. Hope I'm saying his last name right. Iamaleava is Iamaleava. So please excuse me for the pronunciation of last names because sometimes I am bad with last names. So my guest on this episode is Posh Clevelander of Bougie Sports, as her and I will talk about Cleveland sports and the UFL. Yes, the United Football League. They announced something on October the 8th. Now, before I begin, now if you are new to this channel, make sure that you not only hit the like button but also subscribe to the channel for new and upcoming videos. You can also sign up for the 586 weekly newsletter at 586sports.com. So with the newsletter, they're updated every Sunday morning. So in the newsletter, you receive a survival pool contest invite for NFL and college football, the cheat sheets for our NFL and college football survival pool, the latest and upcoming episodes of our podcast shows, upcoming guests, and much more. And I do host a survival pool show, and that show is called Safe or Trap. That is every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 586 Sports, stream live on X, also known as Twitter, and on YouTube. Now, Safe or Trap is a survival pool show, whether it's NFL, college football, and March Madness. So the goal is to analyze weekly matchups, identify potential traps, and arm you with the insights you need to dominate your pool. And not to mention, don't forget to follow 586 Sports on social media on Instagram, TikTok, also known as Twitter, LinkedIn, and you can also follow me on social media, 586 Sports. Those are two S's on Instagram, TikTok, X, and also known as Twitter. So the link will be in the description box below. Okay, so there's another one. It just popped up. There is a Associated Press voter as that particular reporter moved up Florida after the University of South Florida lost. I'll talk about that. And as a matter of fact, I actually got a video of that. Okay, so let's start off with the situation with UCLA. Now, the quarterback for UCLA, he used to be the quarterback for Tennessee. His name is Nico Iamaleava. Okay. Now, he was with the Volunteers last year when they went to the playoffs, by the way. All right. So I'm gonna tell you what the story, how the story went first. So there was a contract dispute with the University of Tennessee. Now his camp sought to renegotiate his NIL deal to a higher amount, and Tennessee's NIL collective declined to meet that. Okay. And then it escalated in the public when he missed a spring practice that led to Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel saying, you know what, we're going to move him without him. Now, there was suggested that his camp push for a $4 million NIL contract for this year, okay? Then we found out actually what happened. So he missed a crucial practice session the day before the annual spring game, and that actually surprised the team and the program and was unclear whether he had communicated his reasons for not showing up. So after the no-show, the coach announced that, hey, we're going to move forward without him. Then that led him to the NCAA transfer portal, uh, ultimately committing to UCLA. Yikes. So, if you remember on Saturday, this was my Bull Rush College Sports football pick of the week, and I told everyone pick the UNLV plus 1.5 over UCLA. So, final score of that game was 30-23. This is UCLA is 0-2 for the first time since 2019. Now, UCLA was going against Dan Mullen. Okay. Now, UNLV is 3-0, and this team almost lost to Idaho State in their whole opener in week 0, not week 1, week 0. And they actually play in the same stadium as the Las Vegas Raiders, just in case you didn't know that. Now, when they was faced against UNLV, it was 23 zip in that game before making it competitive. Now, UNLV scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Then UCLA scored 10 points in the third and fourth quarter. Then it was 30-23 UNLV. And then Nico threw an interception. The game was over. Now, he did not do that bad. Okay. Nico didn't do that bad. He was 29 of 41 of 255 passing yards, a touchdown, and an interception. That was like the best performance I have seen because that game was on the CBS Sports Network. Okay. But that's way better than playing against Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma, who beat Michigan on Saturday night, which I was not surprised. And when you look at UCLA, this team is more likely to be bad than the 2019 UCLA team, because that year they was like 4-8 overall, and then 4-5 in conference in the Pac-12. I don't see the coach being fired in the second season as UCLA head coach. But when you look at the way, like in Tennessee's and UCLA, Tennessee is roller coasting. I mean, they're 2-0, and while UCLA is 0-2. And because he went to UCLA, he took a 40% pay cut along with the taxes and costs of living. Remember, when you're in California, the state tax in California is like 13.3. Okay, living playing in the front of like 100,000 each week versus 25K, and going to a less talented team across the board. Now UCLA do have nice fans, but when you look at that team is so bad. So then there's another lawsuit I heard was his brother. His brother Madden is being sued by Arkansas for breaching of a contract. So Arkansas Collective claims that he owes them, I'm talking about Madden, 200,000 or half the value of his NIL deal due to a buyout clause in his contract. So as of right now, this is a development legal situation. So I got this from Aaron Torres. You can check out Aaron Torres' podcast on YouTube, by the way. And it tests the enforceability of the NIL contract and can set a precedent procedure for how similar situations are handled in college athletics. So he signed a 1-year deal with Arkansas Edge for about $500,000. Then he transferred to UCLA along with his brother. So the contract reportedly included a clause stating he will owe 50% of the remaining value of the deal if he left early. And Arkansas Edge sent demand letters to him and other athletes to enforce their NIL agreement. So the collective is seeking approximately 200,000, which is half of his 400,000 remaining contract value. And this is, I mean, this is bad. I mean, when you look at the list of all players when it comes to the good and the bad of the NIL, I mean, Nico is more than likely is one of the worst of the worst when it comes to the NIL deal. I mean, why would you go to a horrible UCLA football team that hasn't been good in years? Now, when I was a kid, there was like around like 6, 7, 8. There was a time when UCLA was good. You know what I mean? And this was like USC. USC wasn't even all that before Pete Carroll took over. So, and then let me look at the UCLA schedule. Let me see. UCLA, they play who they play. So they play New Mexico. So they'll play New Mexico on this this Friday. So that's a 10 o'clock game. All right. So I just want to make sure. So I got that out the way. So my guest will be coming in a couple of minutes. So I did also want to talk about the AP voter. So let me tell you about that story. So as you guys know, South Florida beat Florida 18-16 in the swamp on Saturday night. So that earned the Bulls their first AP top 25 ranking in 7 years. Okay. Now there is this particular person. Her name is Haley Sawyer, who covers USC athletics for the Orange County Register. So what she did was she moved Florida up to 2 spots to number 14 on her ballot after the loss, while keeping South Florida unranked. And that received a lot of pushback on social media from South Florida fans in particular. I would be very angry. So she was pressed about moving Florida up after a home loss to an unranked team. Now, I'm going to play a clip, okay? So if you're watching this on YouTube, or Rumble, you'll be able to watch that video. But if you're on audio, you won't able to watch the video. You're able to hear it, okay? So here's what her response is, okay? Oh, and by the way, fair use. Okay, let me see. Here we go.
But as far as what my votes are and what my process is, I wake up early in the morning after covering a game late in the night before. Don't want to go too much into my progress or process or logic, but I will say I appreciate everybody's interaction on social media and all of your feedback. You know, there's tons of people that vote on the AP poll, and like it's not a perfect system, but at the end of the day, like no matter who you pick, it does even out because there's so many people who vote. And like I said, it's really fun for discussion. It doesn't, probably matter in the end, but I'm glad that people are having a really good time with it.
That is not good. That was very terrible. Now, for those of you that don't know, now the Associated Press, that is the Associated Press top 25 college football poll, okay? And that's like one of the most notable polls in college football because they've been doing this since, well, for the SBS is 1936, the FCS 1978, for the men's basketball, I want to say 1948, 49, and then for the women's is like 76, 77. So with her response with that, if you are a AP voter, you more likely going to be pissed off about that because you're saying to yourself, why would you even want to do that? Okay. And it's not, and she is right with one thing. It people do have the right to vote, but the way she did it, like, why would you move Florida into 2 spaces? It's like, and I'm also questioning if she knows that the South Bulls beat a ranked Boise State, because there's been a lot of journalists who haven't watched games, but they still keep up of like what's going on in college football. So I don't know what the heck is she's talking about. That was just pretty ridiculous. Okay, so as I am drinking my Tahiti treat, because I mix it up with Mountain Dew and some Minute Maid fruit punch. Oh man, this is so good. It'd be nice if I had some ice with it. All right, so there's some other stuff that happened. Okay, as I did say, Oklahoma defeated Michigan. Now, John Mater threw for 270 yards, ran for 74 yards, and had 3 total touchdowns. Wow, that was very great. And I gotta say, that Michigan didn't look like Michigan. They were, let's just say they weren't that good. Okay. Let's talk about the University of Illinois. Now, they are surging into the season and they developed the resume needed to earn at large college football playoff appearance. They beat Duke 45-19, outscoring the Blue Devils 31-6 in the second half. And that's a great win against a very solid Power Four opponent. That's big news for the Illini. That is terrific. So this year, they got a tough road trips to Indiana and Washington, in addition to home games against Ohio State and USC. And that loss to the Blue Devils could end up being extremely costly in the selection committee's final comparison at large teams. Then you got to look at Missouri. They put up 583 yards on a total offense, 249. They overcame a 21-6 deficit in the first quarter to beat Kansas 42-31. That's awesome. Okay. Now Jamal Roberts ran for 143 yards on 13 carries with a long of 63 yards. Ahman Henry had 100 yards and a score of 22 carries. Then you had Iowa State, by the way. I figured Iowa State would win that, and I did say take the under because that was a low scoring game. Now, the Hawkeyes claimed 6 wins in a row at Jack Trice Stadium. 16-13, that was the final score. As that was by Kyle Courtney of Iowa State, because he did kick a 54-yard field goal in the final seconds of last year's game to give the Cyclones 20-19 win. So despite those chronic failures at home, the Cyclones has won 3 of 4 in the unpredictable series. And there was a couple of upsets. I was very shocked that the Arizona State Sun Devils lost to Mississippi State. I mean, that was surprising. Okay. So what happened was they trailed 17-0, which was surprise, I said. And then they stormed back to take a 2017 lead on a short field goal with a buck 38 to play. Now, it was an 18-yard field goal, and that was kicked from about as close as you can get without scoring a touchdown. Okay. And you're going to have people criticizing Kenny Dillingham's decision to kick, by the way. And that kicking gives you to lead with 98 seconds left. And Arizona State had just been suffered on successful plays from right on the doorstep. As the quarterback for Mississippi State, Blake Shapen, the chance to toss a 58-yard score with 30 seconds left to win. That is a bad result for the Big 12, which saw the preseason conference favorite lose to what it seemed the weakest team in the SEC. That is not good. Then you also had SMU. Oh my God, SMU and Baylor, by the way, because they took a loss against Auburn opener. Now Baylor rebounded to beat SMU 48-45 in double overtime behind a huge afternoon for quarterback Sawyer Robinson. Okay, because he had 440 yards and 4 touchdowns. Along the 3 ways that was absolutely brutal loss for SMU. By the way, Baylor has now taken 14 in a row, dating back to 1986. Good heavens. Now, the Mustangs did lead 38-24 under 6 minutes to go before the Bears forced overtime on a Robinson touchdown pass with 34 seconds left. Lastly, the loss marks the 3rd in a row for the Mustangs against Power 4 opponents, following losses to Clemson and Penn State to end last season. Oh my goodness. I swear, like deathbed. Week 2 in college football and week 1 in the NFL was like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That was like unbelievable. All right, so let me try to see. All right. I'm trying to see. Well, she will come, by the way. So we will give it like a couple of seconds, by the way. She should be coming in a couple of minutes. Hold on a second. Let me put my speakers on real quick. All right. All right. Let me see. Testing 1, 2. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. All right, let me see. All right.
Okay.
Oh,
Now I need you
doggone
to
it.
when you get into let
All
me know
right,
when
so
I'm
we're gonna
looking straight.
all right. So we're gonna talk about the Cleveland Browns, and you just gave me an update on the UFL. So it's October 8th, right?
Let me know when you're ready to roll so that it's a nice edit for you. And let me know, is this straight in the camera? If I look
Okay.
like this, is this straight in the camera?
All righty. All right. All right. So we all right. All right. I'm ready to go.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great for having me, even though you are Michigan. I love, thanks a lot for inviting me, Shawn Stewart. Thanks for
Thank
having me. I am Posh_Clevelander. I am on UFL sabbatical of FujiSports.net. It's an all girls sports podcast. Yes, we love sports, but we are girls. We love to talk pop culture. And yes, we love sports. A lot of us have raised boys, but we love sports. And yeah, sometimes we don't know something. We reach out to you guys, but we do love our sports. Well, I am Posh_Clevelander. And yes, I am on UFL sabbatical, but it is a lot going on in UFL news. Thanks for having me. Do you want to talk Browns first or the UFL?
absolutely. And we just got done doing week one of the NFL. Of course, week one was heck of a crazy. Now,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was crazy, and then also, of course, the NFL draft that was also crazy as well. So the funny thing was, I remember watching the draft because everybody thought not Deion, Shadur Sanders will get drafted in the first round, but apparently he
Mhm.
got drafted in the later rounds. Now, when Shadur got drafted, what was the people's reaction in Cleveland?
Okay. So when Shadur got drafted, it it was groundbreaking because us us old heads, there's three different factions you've got going on now in Browns fandom. Okay, you got three different fandoms. You've got us old heads like me. We'll call them the 0 and 16 year diehard, the 0 and 16 diehards. We always believed on social media that we would get Shador. Okay. Then you
Okay.
have then you have the new fandom, the new fans, the Browns fandom. We'll call them the Shadors. They have admittedly said on X Spaces and on social media that I'm just here for Shador. And then you have the media and the trolls. Their job is to, I call it Shador rage bait. They will throw out clicks and rage bait to draw up you to social media engage, and often to rage bait you and say social media things, especially when there isn't any football going on. So when Shador got picked, it was went wild. First of all, the whole world was in disbelief that he went in the fifth round. We were all in disbelief. Okay. Now, what we're having now is the fact that he is QB3. Shador is now QB3. Okay. And so the Shadors now are restless. Okay. They're a little bit more quiet now because now he's been made QB3. Now, of course, there's been like a conspiracy. Those of you on the outside, conspiracy, because during preseason, he got snaps with the four string O line. So there was talk of a conspiracy. Um, and Dylan Gabriel got, I don't know if he got first string reps. So there is talk of conspiracy. I can't honestly say why he got reps with them, but the kids are all right. Dylan Gabriel and Shador are handling this like gentlemen. They are yin and yang. Dylan Gabriel has experience with a strong arm. He has lots of experience. Shout out to my boy Atlu Marcani. He helped me do research on that with Oregon. He has experience with a solid O line. Shador, the Yang, has experience with a less than O line. He has able to make hamburger. He's able to make steak out of hamburger helper. They're Dylan Gabriel and Shador are basically yin and yang. Now we've had body language experts, body language experts look at the draft day, looking to see the body language of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski when we picked Shador. They definitely sought out Dylan. You know, there was a read. Dylan ain't no liverwurst out there. Dylan has a strong arm. He has lots of experience, lots of starts. He's short considered, but he overcame his height, you know, with that arm. He showed promise in preseason. Shador had some mixed reaction. He had maybe that fourth string O line you saw, but he had like a B minus preseason. But Shador has charisma. I had a quick interview with Shador during the annual Browns Celebrity Softball event. It's Browns fans are the most dedicated fans. We tailgate. Yes, Browns fans tailgate a celebrity softball event every year. No football is played, but a Brown celebrity tailgate event that happens every year, sponsored by Njoku this year, David Njoku this year. And I got a chance to say hello really quick to Shador and asked him. Now, this is in the midst of Shador having some ticket. He had a speeding ticket fiasco in one of the neighborhoods that is known as a cop. The cops are pretty aggressive in their work there. And so he had some speeding tickets. I think it was Strongsville, which is a nice suburb, but the cops really do their job in that area. And so he had some speeding tickets issues there. Don't quote me on the city, but he has some speeding tickets issues. In the midst of all of that fiasco, I asked him, I said, hey, did you see your dad, you know, Father's Day? And he didn't lie. He didn't try to spin it and say, yeah, I had a wonderful time with my dad, Hallmark moment with my dad. He looked me in the eye and said, no, I didn't, but I did call him. Don't wonder why people are dedicated to Shador. He is a sweet kid. He is a sweet, genuinely honest kid. You know, I just want the Shadors to dive deep into the history of the Browns. Don't just be here because Shador is here. They ought to realize that everything we do in football is because of the Browns. You like Shador for his charismatic smile. Guess what? The face mask that protects Shador's smile is because of Paul Brown, the founder of the Browns, invented the face mask. The playbook that Shador studies at night, the idea of having a playbook and studying film at night, Shador does, is because of Paul Brown. The idea of having full-time staff, that's right, full-time staff that are committed to football and don't have to hustle Pamper Chef out the back of their minivan, Paul Brown. The communication booth you call upstairs, that was Paul Brown. The helmet radio, Paul Brown. Halftime entertainment, the time to give you time to make halftime adjustments, that idea, Paul Brown. Everything we do in football, the idea of adjustments, all of that, scouting, everything, Paul Brown. So we need to bow down to the Browns. We had 11 championships before there was officially the modern era of football. So I want Shador fans to dive deep. He is in the right place because guess what, honey? Micah Parsons, who's recently made it to the Packers. Guess who the Browns are facing week 3? Yes, week 3, the Browns are facing week 3. The Packers are coming to town. We already faced the Bengals, and we'll talk about that. We're going to the Ravens. We're at the Ravens week 2. Then the Packers are coming with something to prove, Micah Parsons, and then week 4 we're at the Lions. You know how they are. They are Super Bowl ready. And then we're at home with the Vikings. They JJ McCarthy was on his boat, on
Yes,
his
he
move
was.
night. So this is a gauntlet. We have a Browns have a gauntlet, and Shador on social media was saying all the time, "Perfect timing, timing, perfect timing. I trust God." It is good for Shador not to be playing right now, to sit back. And this guy during preseason, there is so much footage of him asking questions, observing. He would start camp early, he would leave camp late, asking questions, observing. He is a sponge, a literal sponge. And I have to shout out Dylan Gabriel. Him and Dalen Gabriel were exactly like me. They reminded me when I was in clinicals, and I almost missed a bus one time. I was doing clinicals at Cleveland Clinic. I shout out Kent State University. I was doing clinicals and I almost missed the bus one time. Thankfully, my grandma lived up the street, but I was doing clinicals, but she wouldn't want to have to take me all the way back to home to Kent State. But I was doing clinicals. I was so busy. You want to observe everything, pick up everything, every moment, and that's exactly what Dylan and Shador are doing, asking questions, taking notes, and everything. So this is a gauntlet schedule. I'm scared. We don't have a certified win. Maybe the Dolphins, the week 7. I I'm shook. You know what I mean? We
Yes.
need to do what the Steelers did. The Steelers last year, they had Justin Fields and said, "Oh, Russell Wilson is sick. Maybe we need to keep him." I call it Operation Tupperware. They kept Russell Wilson. Oh, he's sick. Then he comes out week 10, week 11, Tupperware, leftover fresh as a daisy, ready to go the rest of the week and into the playoffs. Let's do that with Shador. When everyone is busted up, we're tired, broken down, and also to our O line. The Browns O line is still trying to find their way. We wanted, every rookie needs more time in the pocket. We got DeWad Jones learning his blind side, left tackle. He's newly recovered. He's DeWad Jones. I'm a nurse. And DeWad, whenever a man is built tall, he's built tall, and he's recently lost weight. Shout out to him. He's lost weight, but he's built tall. You got to baby those knees. He's just recovering from injury himself. You got now Fannin and Sampson are your tight ends and running backs. Now they showed promise this Sunday. You got an O line that's finding their way. Batonio and Teller, they were borderline. Batonio was borderline retiring. So you got an O line that's still finding their way. And I had to be honest. I was in a Bengals X space like last week, and I had to be real. And I told the Who Dares, I had to be real. I didn't see us winning this game. And I didn't see us. I had to be real because I felt our O line had to find a way. Now, I didn't see, to bridge over to our UFL discussion, I didn't see Andre Smith of the Battle, formerly of the Battlehawks, missing a PAT and an extra point. It's been a hard week for UFL. It's been a hard week for UFL.
You know what was surprising part was in week 1? Because at first when I was watching the game, because I was watching on my laptop, because they were showing Washington and New York and Washington. I thought at the fourth quarter, I thought Cleveland was going to win that game, but until then, the kicker missed that. I was like, "Oh, you missed a field goal." That was like the easiest field goal, but I was surprised that the game ended that close because everybody thought like the game would have been like Bengals won by 10 or something like that.
Yes. I'm no football genius. I am to be with you today. I researched and I've got some research to share with you and some things I did to be with you today. I'm no football genius. I am all like Shador. I'm observing and listening to you. I love you guys out there. I follow some great guys. I'm observing and I ask you guys questions. I love my followers. I love it. I learn from my boyfriend. I ask questions. I'm not ashamed to admit that I don't know something, but I know a little something. When the boy kicked the ball, he rushed it. He hurried it. He didn't take his time. It was like those, you know what I mean? You can tell when someone's like rushing through. And he said a curious thing. He said, I moved it along. And it was, she said something like that. And I believe it because it was like hurry. It was like hurried. He was nervous. He was hurried. It was a big moment. And my boyfriend says this lots of times. Sometimes the moment's too big, you know what I mean? And so I think that's what it was. And I really want to shout out Andre. If I can hug him, I would hug him. It's been a hard week for the UFL. To bridge over to our next topic, to get ready for you today, I did some research about the UFL because,
Yes, I
but
was going to ask that question. Thank you for bringing that
Mhm.
up.
To get ready for you, and thanks for inviting me to at 586 podcast. I really want to shout you out. And we're sponsored by who?
Bull Rush is Bull Rush.
Tell me
Bull
more
Rush.
about Bull Rush. Tell
So
me more
Bull
about
Rush. Okay, so Bull Rush is a sports picking contest. It is free, by the way. So they do contests. So it's like Survivor Pool, but it's in a different way. So instead of picking teams, you're actually going like point spreads and like over under total. So it's a free app. So they do like NFL, college football. Well, in this particular contest, it's Survivor. So you're just picking like against the spread, and if you get the pick right, you climb up the leaderboards. It's a very fun app to play.
Oh, okay. Now, what about a virgin to betting like me? I know they would love some. They would probably love me. What help will I get on Bull Rush? They probably would love for me to come visit. What help can I get on Bull Rush?
I've been doing sports because I've been doing well since this football season. I've been doing sports picks with Bull Rush, but it's a free app, so anybody can play.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Well, the transition to the UFL, like I said, it's been a hard couple of days for the UFL brand. Andre Smith missing his kicks with the biggest brand. A little background. The Browns fandom is one of the most engaged fandom. Like I said, the Browns fandom now has grown with the Shadors, and then you have the 0-16 dieharders. And what I mean by 0-16 dieharders, we actually had a parade when we went 0-16 under Hugh Jackson.
Parade?
We actually had, look it up. When Hugh Jackson was our coach, sadly, we went 0-16. We had a parade to undo the curse of that. And actually, he dived into Lake Erie. As promised, he dived into Lake Erie, and Browns fandom, and lots of fans came out. Lots of fans came out. We are the most dedicated fans. We are the most dedicated fans. Browns fans are most engaged fans. That's why there's lots of media people that are now on social media purposely doing videos. There are cutesy girls that are engaging Browns guys on social media. Hey, every girl got to make her buck. They're cute though. They're fine. They're welcome. Our hey, the door is open wide. Everyone wants to feed off our fandom because we're so engaged. You make an article last night. Skip. Let me try to do my Shannon Sharp impression.
Oh, Skip Bayless.
Yeah. Skip did an article talking about the Shador. If Shador would played Sunday, he would have won. And I am so proud of everyone because everyone's like, "Oh, Shador is a kicker now." I love how everyone said, saw through it, but that's just nothing but rage bait, But we're the most engaged fans. Okay, so Andre missing his kicks really, enraged the biggest fan base, the one that's very highly engaged. It's, very highly engaged. So we've got that going on. So the UFL I care strongly about the UFL. I get a little background. I am Posh underscore Clevelander. I grew up in Cleveland, East 55th in Lexington, down the street from where Bone Thugs grew up, St. Clair in East 99. I grew up there. My dad pulled himself by his bootstrap and got his degree in community college. And I moved out to the hood and moved out of the hood to Cleveland Heights area and what have you. But it's the most. I was born brown and orange, okay.
Okay.
And if that when that happens, it's hard. A loss is hard, especially with a kick when you're that close by.
Okay.
Okay, so you add Andre with the UFL, and then along with the collision of the announcement July 31st that the UFL is coming to Columbus. Okay.
Okay.
So we don't want any damage to that UFL brand. I moved from Cleveland to St. Louis. Yes, I lost my football team twice.
Yikes.
Okay. I lost the football team twice. Okay. Moving here in time for the second moving up, of the Rams to California. Okay.
Yeah.
So in preparation for today, I did reach out. I did some research. Okay. So the UFL is coming to Columbus, and that was announced July 31st. Now, it's announced that maybe the game will take place at Lower.com Field. And Lower.com Field, I thought it was owned by Haslam, okay? Because Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, he owns Columbus Crew, okay?
That's correct.
And that big stadium where they practice. So his pockets are fat. So Jimmy Haslam owns the Columbus Crew, the Browns, and Flying J. Okay, Flying J truck stops. Okay, so the UFL is going to be doing their games at Lower.com Field, which is owned by the CCA Confluence, which is the CCA Confluence Community Authority, owned by the City of Columbus and Franklin County. So I'm thinking, will they get some of the profits? Will they get some of the profits if the UFL succeeds? So, I'm thinking this is the prime time that maybe we need to be telling the people of Columbus, hey, the UFL is coming. OSU games are going on. You may not be able to go to OSU games, but hey, the UFL is going on. So I did reach out to Repulse Stable. Now, at Repulse Stable is the official Twitter handle of Mark Ripple, who broke the internet in July when it was announced that he would be organizing the UFL. Okay, are you familiar with that? And he announced the relocation. Well, it got leaked. It got leaked by James Larson and by Mike Mitchell, one of them, that the relocation was happening. Okay.
Okay.
And James Larson, I think, took a hit that it got leaked. He said he got blacklisted, but it actually got leaked that it was going to be the relocation was going to be happening. Okay. And of course, Michigan, my heart goes out to you. I do not want your team taken. I know how that feels.
Yeah.
I love
We Michigan Panthers, we love our UFL team. We love our UFL team. As a matter of fact, we did have some great attendance than we did last year. Because
yes.
But the only problem is like where can we play? Because when they played at Full Field, I'm like, that's too big. That's way too big for the Michigan Panthers. They got to play like somewhere like Wayne State or like. As of right now, I'm hearing from what I'm hearing that they want to play where the Detroit City FC playing at, because as of right now, they are actually building a stadium in downtown, so it won't be ready till like 2027. So right now, we are crossing our fingers to see like if this Panthers team is going to stay or not.
Okay, good. And good. Thanks for that update. Because James Larson also shared thereafter that every time it opened the door, it's $500K at Ford Field. And I love how all the fans were like, Well, I understand that. Okay. All the fans were understanding that is a high tag. And I love, and once again, I love Michigan Panthers fandom because everyone was like throwing out ideas. I never learned about all these locations in Michigan until everyone was responding. I love Michigan Panthers fandom, throwing out ideas of where to possibly go. But I love everyone was like, oh, I understand 500K. That is quite a lot to every time you open up just to dip your toe in for a field to have to come out with that. So, so I know I'm a girl and girls we are extra, but here's the timeline. I reached out to Repulse Stable. His DMs are open, okay? But I reached out to the official Twitter tag of Mark Repulse Stable's group and said, hey, I'm going to be on at 586 Sports. And when I did a little research and saw that, the city of Columbus and Franklin County own lower.com field, would you, I feel like this is the prime time. OSU games are going on. This is the prime time, maybe, to mention how, hey, if the UFL succeeds, is coming to Columbus, the city succeeds, because, hey, the city of Columbus owns this. Can you maybe jump on this? During these OSU games, people have the taste of football in their mouth. This is the time to do it. I did that DM yesterday. Today, Repulse Stable officially reports that coming October 8th, they're going to be giving an update. Yes, I want to believe I had some hand in that. Yes, I will go to my grave believing that I had some hand in that because it has been quiet since July 31st. It has been quiet since
Super
July
quiet.
31st. It has. And I want to believe that I had some hand in that, guys, because I DM'd the Repulse Stable account yesterday. And today he announced that October 8th, they'll be giving some type of update on relocation. And they mentioned Columbus and what have you. Because I did mention in my DM, hey, this is the biggest. I mentioned how we took a hit this week. We took a hit with the UFL brand with poor Andre, and that you're crossing. These are potential customers. You've got the biggest fan base. With the Browns, the cross section of fans. You've got the Browns fans that are potentially going to these games. You gotta tap dance a little bit for these fans, you know what I mean? And that was my goal when I was with Bougie Sports during reporting on the UFL season with my show It Ain't Over. That was my goal. I'm a Browns girl. I'm in St. Louis, loving the Battlehawks. My goal was to bridge Browns fans and Cleveland fans to the UFL. And that was always my goal. And I see myself as that goal every waking moment. Also, my child went to Iowa State. So I love Battlehawks. I'm the connection with all the Iowa State alumni that are on the Battlehawks. I love Iowa State. And I love that connection. Shout out to Rocco Beck. He is doing it. The son of Anthony Beck. He's doing it there. But there was some positive news in the UFL. Jacob Sailors, he's been called up out of the practice squad. He had 92 yards and 4 kicks. That kind of, we need to shout that out. But of course, the bad travels fast. People love the bad. So I'm going to do my part to travel, to make sure. And I'm going to attack my Browns fandom with, hey, Jacob Sailors, and I'm hoping Andre Smith does it this weekend. We have a history of beating Ravens with a field goal. I'm hoping Andre turns it around, gets that monkey off his back. I'm hoping he definitely will. Anything you want to add, dear?
Where can my listeners find you on social media, by the way, if I may ask?
Okay, you can find me on X at capital P Posh _ Clevelander. That's where I'm mostly engaged. I can't even remember my Instagram. Is it
Oh,
Sandy on
I know how
Instagram?
it
I
feels.
am on Sandy. Yeah. Yeah, Instagram is my most engaged. I am on UFL sabbatical right now for my bougiesports.net.
Okay.
Definitely, you can. There are all girls sports podcasts. Were created by Yvette. She's awesome. She put me on. At Lou McCarney, he really got me started too. Shout out and rest in power to Gilding Light. He is passed on, but he really saw the worth in me. But definitely, you'll see me in the X spaces. And remember, be careful who you follow when it comes to the Browns. At Ken Carmen, Mary Lou Cabot, at Tony Rizzo and ESPN Cleveland. Be careful who you follow when it comes to Browns fandom. Beware of the Shador rage bait. Okay, beware of the Shador rage bait. Be careful of that. Be careful of the Browns takes. It's meant to engage and attack and get you to click and follow over there.
As a matter of fact, I look to have you during the NFL draft because that's my goal is try to get interview people before the NFL draft.
Okay, well, it's a date. It's a date. Definitely, I will mark my calendar. I'm a nurse. I have to fight over PTO. I've been needing to take some PTO near NFL draft. I love taking PTO where you're not fighting with people. Since I'm an empty nester, I like, taking PTO where everybody else wants to be with their kids. So yeah, I'll take PTO for the NFL draft and everything. But I'm starting to hit the other nurses on. The one nurse noticed that, hey, you always take off for the Super Bowl. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm starting to hit the nurses are getting wise.
Not yet.
I don't know what you're talking about. I plead the fifth.
Well, they
They're
always
starting
do
to
a
notice.
Cowboys fan, so you're not the only one.
Oh yes, oh yes. They're starting to get hip to my days off for the Super Bowl, day after the Super Bowl. And then one girl's like, it is good to take a day off after the Super Bowl. I'm like, shh, shh.
Yeah. Like be very, very quiet.
Exactly.
Man, I know how to make people laugh.
I don't drink, but you have that. I don't drink, but you have that nacho cheese and chocolate hangover. That serotonin hangover. There.
You can't make this up.
But what?
Okay, you can't make this up. That's why I had that
Oh.
face.
Oh, okay. Oh, goodness. But yes, I can talk your ear off about the UFL. I will go to my grave believing I triggered the at RuPaul stable announcement. I will go to my grave. You can trust Posh underscore Cleveland for the greatest takes. I only speak what I talk about. Let me tell you about Posh's prophecies that have come true. Posh's prophecies that have come true. My family has heard this a million times, so they have scattered out of the room. Posh's prophecies has come true. Picture this. It was the last day of the draft, last morning of the draft, 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Posh tweets, let's claim it, Cyclone Nation. Brock Purdy to the 49ers. The rest is history. Yes, your girl predicted Brock Purdy to the 49ers. And it took the last pick of the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. Yes, Brock Purdy. Search my tweets, baby. Your girl Posh predicted it. Another Posh prophecy that I predicted, LBJ to OBJ. This is the tweet I said. I said, LBJ will be with OBJ, like peanut butter and jelly. They will be together. The rest is history. No, it didn't last, but your girl predicted it. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did predicted it. Another Posh
right
prediction. What'd you say?
That was a lucky charm right there. All right. And I look forward, like I said before, I will look forward to have you on during the before the NFL draft.
Yes, right there. Yes, right there. Yes, it's your girl Posh underscore Cleveland. Thank you for having me. I will be looking, and of course, shout out to Michigan Panthers fans. I feel your pain. Let's get some other. I want your team to stay definitely in Michigan. There are alternatives for you to stay in Michigan, other places for you to stay. I know your pain.
Thank you very much, and you have a nice and wonderful night.
Thank you. Take care.
So, like I said, so we're as Michigan Panthers fans, we're actually crossing our fingers, see if the team is going to stay or not. All right, so like I said, the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Cleveland Browns 17-16. Then you also had the Dolphins and the Colts. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did not pick that game because I didn't know like what team was going to win or not. But I do know that the Colts was doing like a tribute to Jim Irsay, as you know, Jim Irsay did die this year. But I got to tell you, man, Daniel Jones. Oh my goodness, like what the heck? You know what I mean? So I'm looking at Daniel Jones because he had thrown 272 yards and a touchdown, 22 of 29. Then Michael Pittman, 80 yards. And he had a 27-yard touchdown. Then you also had Tyler Warren, 7 reception for 76 yards. Jonathan Taylor, 18 carries for 71. And I gotta tell you, man, that Miami Dolphins, I don't know where the heck what they were. They just looked like they were lost. Then Arizona won. I figured they would win. Now, Kyler Murray was 21 for 29 for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. And whew, goodness gracious. So they won that game. The Steelers and the Jets. I got to tell you, I told my friend this last night. I said, you know what? The Steelers defense was trash. I mean, even though that was a high scoring game, I got to tell you, that defense was trash. Now, as I'm looking to it, Aaron Rodgers was 22 of 30 for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. Goodness gracious. You can't even make this up. Then Justin Fields was like 16 of 22 of 218 yards and a touchdown because he rushed 12 times for 48 yards. So at least the Jets got a QB, even though the offense is limited, by the way. Then I looked up the stats. It says Sauce Gardner lined up across DK Metcalf on 30 of his 33 routes. That's 90%, and allowed 1 reception for 11 yards on 3 targets. And Metcalf recorded 4 receptions for 83 yards on 7 targets on the day, averaging just 3.2 air yards per target, the lowest in the game in his career. As a matter of fact, according to the NFL research, Aaron Rodgers tied Tom Brady for the most career game with 4+ passing touchdowns and no interception. That's 28 games. Goodness gracious. That is terrific. Now, with the Arizona and Saints game, Kyler Murray had his 21st career game with 2+ passing touchdowns and 100+ passer rating, tying Hall of Famer Kurt Warner for third most in Cardinals franchise history. Kurt Warner used to play for the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, most of us know he did play for the St. Louis Cardinals that helped them. St. Louis Rams helped them in the Super Bowl. I got it confused. Now, with the Titans losing to the Broncos, there were 6 Broncos defenders recording a sack Sunday, time for the second most in franchise history. I didn't even know about that. Now, I figured Green Bay would win that game, but I would not figure that game would end up being a blowout. Now, Josh Jacobs scored his 100. Wait, Josh Jacobs, who scored in his 10th straight game, including playoff, became the 11th player since 1970. That's the NFC and between the NFL, AFL, they merged. That's how it ended up being the NFC and the AFC. Scored a rushing touchdown in double-digit straight games. The only other player to do that in the past 20 years was Jonathan Taylor back in 2021. Now, that game between Baltimore and Buffalo, I took the over on that, so I was happy with that. Now, Josh Allen led his 11th game winning drive since 2022, which includes playoffs. Now, the only ones were Patrick Mahomes, 18th, and Geno Smith have more in that span, even though we know Geno Smith does play for the Las Vegas Raiders. Am I missing something? I don't think I'm missing something. I'm trying to think because I'm looking at my notes. Okay. And of course, everybody knows that let me see. Oh, I forgot. With the Browns and Bengals, the Bengals had 141 total net yards of offense, their second lowest output in a win in the franchise history. Goodness gracious. Then Daniel Jones is the fifth quarterback since 1950 to have 250 plus passing yards and 2 plus rushing touchdowns in his first game of the season. So those are all my notes. Okay, so I am going to wrap this up. So like I said, this Thursday, if you are a person that plays Survivor Pool or you're new to Survivor Pool, I host a show called Safer Trap, the Survivor Pool show, which airs every Thursday night during football season at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 586 Sports, streaming on X and on YouTube. And also, I do it on March Madness. I'm thinking about doing it during the playoffs. I'm thinking about doing it in the playoffs. I'm still decided on that. All right, so you guys have a nice and wonderful week. And like I said, make sure that you go to our forum and sign up for our newsletter, weekly newsletter. Take care and have a blessed day.
Audio Jungle.